welcome to the Elusive Truth with Rich and Larry. My goodness, it's been a while, hasn't it, folks? Too long since we've had our last podcast. Looking at it, September 16th to be exact. We needed the time off. It was getting crazy. Clown World was up against us. The election. Oh, my goodness. And if you've been listening to Larry, you would have been going nuts, too. Boy, he had some crazy stories of how this was going to turn out. And thank God Larry was wrong, because here we are, February, President Trump in office, just a little over 3 weeks. And my goodness, he is on fire. Record pace, what he is doing. And the stuff he is exposing, along with Elon Musk, ooh, we're never going to hear the end of it from the lefties. It's getting crazy, folks. But thank God he's in office. And we're back, and we're going to try to do a lot more. No more negativity. We're going to be positive here, folks. We have to be. President Trump is in office, and his cabinet members are coming along great. And the rest of the world's going nuts, too. That's to be expected. Do you hear his story about the Gaza Strip? Ooh, that's going to be a podcast for another day. Another rabbit hole we'll have to go down. Welcome back. I'm glad everybody is doing okay. I hope you're all doing okay. Life is going to get better. The light is coming out, and we're actually seeing how bad the Biden administration has been for the past 4 years. I knew it was bad, but wow, how far DEI has crept into every facet of our government and U.S. aid that no one knew of, and now all of a sudden it's a hot topic. Did you see that protest they had in Washington with Chuck Schumer and that Maxine Waters lady? Oh, unbelievable. They're showing their true colors, folks. Just watch what they're so mad that Elon Musk is looking at their financial matters. Skeletons are coming out of the closet, and we're going to find out the whole story. That's enough of me babbling on. Let's see what we should start off with. You know what? We're going to go throwback. Since we're getting enlightened, and President Trump said that we're going to hear about JFK, MLK, right? We're going to hear about all that stuff. Unbelievable. This is a little bit that I came across. It's called The Daily Dose of Masculinity. Jesse Ventura, educate Piers Morgan on what actually happened on 9/11. And you need to go find the video of this because something's definitely wrong. And I guess the Matrix slipped up. This goes back to the buildings and the collapsing. But they were predicting it before it even happened on BBC. Unbelievable stuff, folks. I'm telling you. We are just starting to scratch the surface of all the nefarious, evil wrongdoings from our government. Yes, the United States government has been putting us to the side and taking care of themselves first, meaning the politicians. But anyway, I'm telling you, the elusive truth, the rabbit holes get deeper and deeper every day. And there's hundreds of things that we can talk about. Again, here's Jesse Ventura educating Piers Morgan on what actually happened on 9/11. Just a little piece of it. It's going to make you go, wow. Have a listen.
This video alone is one of the main reasons you don't see Jesse Ventura on TV anymore. He speaks too much truth.
You cannot say that any member of the Bush administration knew it was going to happen or wanted it to happen. It's a ridiculous thing to say.
Ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about your BBC. I have a tape of a BBC reporter broadcasting directly back to England talking about a third building has collapsed, World Trade Center Building 7. All the while she's talking, World Trade Center Building 7 is still standing right behind her. It didn't fall for another half hour, yet they were doing a pre-broadcast back to England that this building fell and it hadn't fallen yet.
If you're trying to make out the British Broadcasting Company, one of the most respected news organisations in the world, was inventing huge buildings falling over, you need to have a break, Jesse.
This is a fact, my friend.
The video that you obviously did not see, which you should see, it makes this even crazier, is that the BBC reporter, a female, is telling about how the collapse of this building, and the whole time the building is still standing in front of her. And apparently it didn't collapse for another half hour after her segment of this collapse. I don't know what's going on. I wasn't there. And there's too much AI and manipulation in today's media. My Lord, if this is true, it's going to open up such a deep rabbit hole. I've already had my problems with 9/11, and I'm just I'm sick. I'm sick to my stomach at that whole thing. Again, just craziness that our government's been going on. So, if you get a chance, check it out. Daily Dose of Masculinity. Go see if you can find it on YouTube. I don't know. Like I said, if this is real, it's... wow. The Elusive Truth is coming out in 2025 like you've never seen or heard of it before. My goodness. Well, moving along. Let's see what else we should have on our little show today. So anyway, we've been having issues, obviously, with the migrants, the aliens, whatever you want to call them, the border jumpers, the illegal migrants, the dreamers, the newcomers, whatever you want to think they are. If they didn't come into this country legally, then they are felons and they have committed a crime. And we all know too well of what's going on with Mr. Holmes, and the first phase is to get rid of all the Tren de Aragua and all the bad apples that have come over, which eventually is going to lead to the rest of the migrants being deported as well. Anyway, I'm bringing this up because the left is going crazy. You can't do this. This is unbelievable. You know the story. Just look at the papers. Not papers. Let's get with the times. Just look at all the newscasts. Go to YouTube. Go to whatever on the internet. And it's amazing. These people are absolutely horrid. The things that are going on and the money that we're paying to take care of these people. They need to go. We need migrants. We need people to come into this country, but we need them to come in the legal way. That's plain and simple. And everybody on the left says that's not fair. President Trump is putting them in camps, and he's opened up Gitmo again for them, and these poor migrants are being treated badly. Did you see that thing with Selena Gomez? Millionaire with 4 mansions, crying, sobbing. You know, just crazy. This lady, you know, don't care much about her, but wow, she really turned me off to, you know, the Hollywood type, especially these musicians that think they have a voice in the world. And their job is to make music for our entertainment, period. Not to tell us and gaslight us and be part of this propaganda machine that's been taking over the world for the past, I don't know, probably at least 10, 15 years, if not more. We're going to get right to Obama. Remember Obama? Apparently he's got the world record for deportations while in office. So this is going to be Obama on his deportation speech. But the left keeps telling us that President Trump is the worst. And I just don't understand it. But here's a Democrat, Obama. This is probably the only good thing, or one of the only good things that he did in office while he was president, because, I hate to be that conspiracy theorist, but wow. He did a lot of damage to this country. So have a listen. Obama, deportation speech. Yeah, they had it right way back then. But the Biden administration, they did us wrong.
This video just resurfaced, and it sounds like Obama is saying everything that the media attacks Donald Trump for.
Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century.
The left is going nuts over that speech. how could Joe Biden, vice president at the time, fall so far off the apple tree to have this crazy scheme to let millions of undocumented, unvetted people into our country? Unbelievable. And yet we have Obama. He was telling you how it was. As I have said before, I believe that I stepped into a different alternate reality because Democrats weren't that bad. They weren't Democrats as they are today. We had our differences. We could talk. We could work things out. But wow, they have gone so far, and they're just evil, and they want to do nothing to help the American people. How can you explain our border crisis? And now that we have troops and we have more fencing going up and more troops on both sides of whether it's Canada or Mexico, we're doing things about it, and we're having mass deportations, yet we're having also a couple of these demonstrations like in L.A. Did you see that one where they went into the highway? Oh, my goodness. Again, they don't have a brain. Amazing stuff, folks. So, moving right along, for the next little soiree that we're having right now, this is going to go back with the Joe Rogan and Russell Brand. We're going to talk about COVID and what really happened and what was the real agenda. Not this fake stuff anymore, and this pandemic, as we've been saying the whole time, it's coming out in the works. You've heard it before. Even the CIA has admitted that it came from the Wuhan lab in China. Again, people don't want to listen. They don't want to believe. So here's a reminder of what really took place with this god-awful time in history that we almost lost it all. Have a listen.
There's been a new 500-page report about the pandemic out. How much of it is redacted, and what does Joe Rogan make of it? Those are just two questions to consider right now.
The House released a 500-page report on COVID-19 pandemic. Key findings: COVID-19 likely originated from a lab-related incident in Wuhan, China. Crazy. You get banned from YouTube for saying that. Banned. Okay, over $200 billion in relief funds lost to fraud, with criminals exploiting weak oversight. Prolonged lockdowns and arbitrary mandates cause severe harm, economic devastation, mental health crises, and historic learning loss, while lacking robust scientific support. Policies ignored natural immunity, pushing mandates that eroded trust and harmed public perception of science. Absolutely. WHO and CDC compromised by political interference, offering inconsistent, unscientific guidance that fueled public distrust, and the key players included federal agencies and Cuomo's administration actively obstructed oversight efforts and hid critical evidence.
Christ.
Select subcommittee on coronavirus pandemic basically said all the conspiracy theorists were correct. Every single one of them. No repercussions, no retractions, no apology from Rachel Maddow. None of it.
There you go. Vintage Joe Rogan there just took a 500-page report and turned it into the conspiracy theorists were right. Well, fellow conspiracy theorists, how lovely it is for Khan Joe, have you seen that meme, to reveal what we were all sensing. In fact, what we all knew and what we all investigated in significant part with the great and intrepid discoveries and explorations of Joe Rogan himself. So I wonder, will we see Fauci prosecuted? Will we see the investigations that such a situation warrants, or would to conduct such a reckoning pull apart the institutions that make up America? Indeed, it's heartening to see someone like Jay Bhattacharya, a man of true integrity, who, when you talk to him, when you listen to him, think, well, hold on, there's hope. And now that guy's the head of the NIH. Or when you speak to Marty Makary, thinking, my God, this guy's brilliant. Now that guy's the head of the FDA. Or when you speak to Bobby Kennedy or Dr. Oz, you realize, well, these are men of integrity and brilliance and excellence of experience. Well, now these people are in positions of power. So my prayer is that whilst that 500-page report might not lead to any outcomes or findings that are punitive in the way that perhaps they ought be after the deception, destruction, that was a real We know what went on. They would have took that a lot further if they could. I believe that was an attempt to see what the temperature was, how far they could take control. And it won't be the last time. Will it be bird flu next? Will it be some war? Will it be the threat of a nuclear war? Will it be climate change? Who knows what they will lay out there next time? But they're going to have a lot harder time because of some of the imperfect avatars of salvation that we've been sent. Look, wow, Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, those people now, Tucker Carlson, you've got to get past all of these prominent voices, and above all now, Donald Trump is about to be in office. But it wouldn't surprise me if even in the next few weeks we saw extraordinary events. That's the kind of crazy world we live in. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments and the chat? Remember, if you're watching this anywhere other than Rumble, get over to Rumble, watch us there, support us there, get Rumble Premium, and subscribe to our channel.
It really does seem like every day more and more information is being released, and it's just proving how bad it was. Have a listen. These people are going nuts that this is being exposed. Seriously. Check out Russell Brand. He's got another 2 videos that just came out about the U.S. aid and Pfizer, and how Pfizer really gave a lot of money to that Pocahontas there. I'm telling you, it's getting crazier and crazier every day. I just don't know what to say. I mean, that little report that we just heard shows you and proves how bad this whole COVID epidemic was. And we're just now starting to find out how bad it affected not only companies, mom and pops, but just even regular people. And then how it affected the people that are purebloods. I mean, just crazy stuff is going on in this world that I never thought was ever going to happen, or our government's capable of doing such things to us. Absolutely amazing. I don't know. That's another whole story in itself. We could talk hours about this COVID stuff. It's crazy because think about it. Why did Joe Biden pardon Fauci all the way back to 2014? I didn't think Fauci did anything wrong, did he? But he had to be pardoned and cover all crimes that he committed from 2014 up until now? Telling you, I would have never thought this ever. Never in a million years. There's got to be alternate universes because that's the only explanation. It's just not common sense anymore. It's got to be a different reality. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, moving right along, we're going to go with John Kennedy. Oh, my goodness. He's going to break down the federal spending line by line in an epic defense of Elon Musk. He's telling you what's going on because, Maxine Waters and Schumer and all the other crazies had that little demonstration outside Washington, and they were screaming, and they were going to, oh, my goodness, they're not going away. They're very upset that Elon's taking their money and Social Security is going out the window. They're taking all this because they can't save $1 trillion. And then, of course, Musk and his 19-year-olds all the way up to 25-year-olds do not have the experience or know how anything works in the world, that it should all be discredited. But unfortunately, these whiz kids from Doge are pulling all the stops and showing you the receipts, and Senator John Kennedy is going to explain it to you. So sit back, relax. We're going down this rabbit hole. It'll make you understand why the left is the way they're acting. And the Democrats, they're in big trouble. Have a listen.
Gosh, I don't know where to begin. I've been in the Senate for 8 years. In dog years, that's 56 years. And it feels like 56 years. I've learned a lot, met a lot of interesting people. Before I got here, everybody told me about the Washington bubble. And I said, how serious could they be? Well, it's true. There is a Washington bubble. This place is different. It's in its own way, sometimes disappointing, sometimes refreshing. It is deeply weird. For one thing, common sense is illegal in Washington. It's illegal. For another thing, I've discovered that this is a town of very frustrated ex-class presidents. And there's a Washington way of doing things. And when things aren't done that way, when somebody challenges the status quo, many, not all, but many of these frustrated ex-class presidents in Washington, on the Hill and otherwise, they get excited, not in a good way. They can't get their mind around doing anything other than the Washington way. Some of them, particularly in the media, they go almost catatonic, or the exact opposite. They foam at the mouth. And they really get upset. They could make a Valium nervous. It's like the world, we're not doing things the way we've always done them, and the world's going to spin off its axis. I want to try to put in perspective what many of my Democratic friends have been talking about today. They're very, very, very upset at President Trump. And they're very, very, very upset at Elon Musk. President Trump ran for president on a number of issues. One of the issues he ran on, he said it almost every day. He said, if you elect me president, I'm going to go through the entire budget and review all the spending, line by line. If I heard him say that once, I heard him say it 1,000 times. And that's what he's been doing. He went out and appointed, through an executive order, Elon Musk, who some people like him, some don't, but he's not a dummy. He's a very successful business person. He's got a top secret security clearance. President Trump issued an executive order, and he turned to Mr. Musk, and he said, Mr. Musk, I want you to do for me what I said I was going to do in the election. I want you to go through all the spending, line by line. Now, let me ask you something, Mr. President. How are you going to review the spending without reviewing the spending? How are you going to audit the spending by an agency without auditing the agency? That's what I mean when I say common sense is illegal in Washington, D.C. That's what Mr. Musk is doing. He's put together a crackerjack team, and they're going through everybody's spending line by line, item by item. And my Democratic colleagues are very, very, very upset. And they've been very eloquent. They've talked about the process, and President Trump's executive order supposedly violates the Constitution. And they've accused Mr. Musk of having conflicts of interest. And so I've heard people say he's sitting over there with a notepad, copying down everybody's Social Security number, and he's going to go use it to make money. People in this town, not just my Democratic colleagues, they're really upset. They've never said anybody question their spending. But that's what Mr. Musk is doing. But you know, I've listened. This has been going on for a week. People have been screaming like they're part of a prison riot. Oh, my God, look at what Musk is doing. He's looking at the spending. And I've listened to people talk about the process and debate whether it's constitutional and discuss how many lawyers can dance on the head of a pin. But you know what? I haven't heard one single person who's upset with President Trump or Mr. Musk talk about what he's found. They don't want to talk about the spending porn, the waste of taxpayer money that he's found. I mean, that's the point of all this. I tell you who is interested. The American people. The people in America who get up every day and go to work and obey the law and pay their taxes and try to educate their kids and try to do the right thing by their kids and try to save a little money for retirement and have had to live through 20% inflation under President Biden. They understand what Musk is doing. They understand spending porn and wasting taxpayer money. Now, Mr. Musk started with the USAID. That handles a lot of foreign aid for America. American people are very generous. In our country, when you're homeless, we'll house you. When you're hungry, we'll feed you. In our country, when you're too poor to be sick, we'll pay for your doctor. And we send a lot of money overseas to help our world's neighbors. And the USAID is in charge, in large part, of that. But I'll tell you what Mr. Musk discovered. I find it fascinating. He discovered that the American taxpayers are giving money to Afghanistan. He found that we are giving money to Yemen. He found that we are giving money to Syria. I didn't know that. Some of our foreign aid is going to Yemen, Afghanistan, Syria. He found that the USAID has 10,000 people. 10,000 people, employees. And every year they give away $40 billion. Mr. Musk also found, and I'm not saying that all of this money is wasteful. I'm not. Some of this money, I'm sure, does some good. That's why Secretary Rubio is going to revamp the department and separate the good from the bad. But this is the kind of stuff Mr. Musk found. He found that the USAID gave money to support electric vehicles in Vietnam. Our money, taxpayer money. He found that USAID gave money to a transgender clinic in India. I didn't know that. I bet you the American people didn't know that. He found that the USAID gave $1.5 million to a Serbian LGBTQ group called Grupa Izladaji. I probably mispronounced that. My apologies. Anyway, they got $1.5 million to, quote, advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. What else did Mr. Musk found that my colleagues don't want to talk about? Well, he reviewed a study and then went and checked it. The study was done by the Middle East Forum. They found that USAID spent $164 million to support radical organizations around the world. We're not talking Cub Scout troops here. We're talking about radical organizations around the world. They gave $122 million of that to groups aligned with foreign terrorist organizations. Our taxpayer money. According to this report in Mr. Musk, The USAID has given millions of dollars to, quote, organizations in Gaza controlled by Hamas. Why aren't my colleagues talking about that? Recipients of the money, they found, have, quote, called for their lands to be cleansed from the impurity of Jews. That's what we're giving foreign aid to. What else? I'm not going to spend my whole time talking about this, but nobody else is talking about it. They're just talking about the process. And Mr. Musk, and he's a mean guy, and he shouldn't be looking at our spending. Well, he is. And I kind of find what he's found out interesting. He found that we gave $2 million, USAID did, for sex changes in Guatemala. He found that we gave $20 million to produce a new Sesame Street show in Iraq. He found that we gave $4.5 million of taxpayer money to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. He found that we gave $10 million, USAID did, of meals to an Al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group called the Nusra Front. Mr. Musk found that we gave $7.9 million of taxpayer money to a project that would teach Sri Lankan journalists to avoid binary gendered language. The USAID took $8 million and gave it to a bunch of journalists in Sri Lanka to teach them how to avoid binary gendered language. I don't know what the hell binary gendered language is. I think I do. You think most taxpayers would support that? Why aren't we talking about that? The USAID gave $1.5 million to promote LGBT advocacy in Jamaica. They gave $1.5 million to rebuild the Cuban media ecosystem. They gave $1.5 million for, quote, art for inclusion of people with disabilities in Belarus. Another $3.9 million for LGBT causes in Macedonia. $8.3 million for equity and inclusion education in Nepal. I could go all night. And many of my colleagues are upset. They're really mad at Mr. Musk. Hell, I think we ought to give him a medal. All he's doing is what President Trump said he was going to do. President Trump said he's going to audit the spending. So Trump goes and hires Musk, again with a top secret security clearance. Nobody can quibble with his intelligence. You know, the guy's as smart as Einstein's cousin. He's a very successful businessman. Some say he's the richest guy in the world. And he's doing the auditing. And man, he's finding a lot of stuff. I call it spending porn. Now, I'm not saying everything that USAID does is wasted. But I'm saying a lot of it is. A hell of a lot of it is. And we ought to be on the floor of this United States Senate thanking Mr. Musk. And we ought to be asking him to go through every agency and look at everybody's budget. Everybody's budget. That's what the American people want. They don't want to talk about process. They don't want to continue with the Washington way. They want to save some money. Now, let me tell you what's really going on here, too, Mr. President. For 4 years under President Biden, and for 8 years under President Obama, and I respect both of them. I don't hate anybody. I don't. When I say my prayers at night, one of the things I ask God, God, don't let me hate, because it's hard in Washington. Don't let me hate. I have all the respect in the world for President Biden and President Obama. Tough job. But between them, they spent 12 years in Washington. And presidents set the tone. They control the questions that are asked. And here's the question that President Obama and President Biden asked for 8 years. For 12 years. I heard it every single day. Who needs to pay more in taxes? Is it you? Is it you? Who needs to pay more in taxes? We need more money. Who needs to pony up more? That was the issue. But that's not the issue today. We have a new president. You know what the issue is today? What the hell happened to all the money? What the hell happened to all the money? And that's what Mr. Musk is finding out. That's all this is about. And I'm just shocked that my colleagues have decided that this is a hill they're going to die on. How can you look the American people in the eye and support this kind of waste? Support this kind of spending porn? I mean, the election to me made at least one thing clear, that the American people are sick and tired of people in Washington denying reality. The last administration tried to convince us that we were living in a crime-free world where inflation was temporary and the border was secure. And the American people didn't buy it. You know why? Because it wasn't true. And the administration, our last administration, tried to argue that Bidenomics was making our lives better. But the American people knew differently. They understood Bidenomics to mean I get to spend more to live worse. And they voted. Now, I mean, the American people were poorer under the last administration, but they didn't become stupid. They could see that the government was creating a problem, not trying to fix it. And they noticed the national debt, too. Put up that first chart for me. You know what our national debt is, Mr. President? $36 trillion. Not million, not billion. $36 trillion. It takes my breath away. Highest it's ever been, over 100% of our gross domestic product. Our debt's growing faster than our economy. And we toss around these numbers, $1 trillion, $1 billion, $1 million, $1 squillion, like it's nothing. I want to try to put this in context. If I started counting right now, and I counted one numeral, if you will, per second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I kept counting all day and all night. I didn't sleep. I counted between bites of oatmeal at breakfast. I just counted continually. One numeral per second. It would take me 32 years to count to 1 billion. 32 years to count to 1 billion. It would be 2057. I'd be dead as Woodrow Wilson. I wouldn't live that long. And that's just $1 billion. Our debt's $36 trillion. You know how long it would take me to count to $1 trillion? 31,000 years. If I counted one numeral per second. About as old as Chuck Grassley. 31,000 years. It would take me 1 million years to count to 36 trillion. Those are the kind of numbers we're talking about. And the American people understand it. Since 2019, America's population has grown 2%. We're not having babies. 2%. And that's after massive immigration. You know how much our budget has grown? 55%. 55%. Yeah, we've had inflation, but we haven't had 55% worth of inflation. That's how we got to this $36 trillion in debt. Put up the next chart for me. Now, some of this money we had to spend during the pandemic, and it was a bipartisan effort during the pandemic. Republicans voted for it, and Democrats voted for it because we had no choice. I was there. I saw it from the inside. We came this close to losing the American economy. And you know who helped a lot, doesn't get enough credit? Jay Powell at the Federal Reserve. I watched it. The whole world wanted to go into a cave and retreat. Back in the Great Recession, I remember all the other countries in the world who looked to us. They may hate us, but they know we're the greatest country in all of human history. They look to America. And you know what? Back in the Great Recession, all the other countries wanted they wanted treasuries, treasury notes, treasury bonds. Not this time. They were so scared. They didn't want treasuries. They wanted dollars, cash dollars. So Jay Powell, thank the Lord, he goes over to the Federal Reserve. He opens what's called a currency swap line, and he told every country, you want dollars? I'll trade your dollars for your currency. And everything calmed down. He doesn't get any credit for that. But it was a gutsy thing to do. But on top of that, to save the American economy, that wasn't helping the American economy. We had to keep the economy going. We spent a lot of money. But then COVID ended. And what we should have done was go back to pre-COVID spending. But we didn't do that. President Biden, after the shutdowns and the coronavirus, the pandemic was over, passed the American Rescue Plan. COVID was over. He spent $1.9 trillion. Never let a good crisis go to waste. I didn't vote for it. Then he came back and passed what he called an infrastructure bill. It was really just the Green New Deal. I know what's in that bill. That was another $1.2 trillion. And then he passed the Inflation Reduction Act. I didn't vote for it. But that was another $1.0 trillion. And then he passed the CHIPS Act. This is really special. He said, big tech, the semiconductor companies need our money. They need taxpayer money. They're not making enough money. And he gave them money. He didn't give hardware stores money. President Biden didn't give the healthcare industry money. He said, I want to help big tech. And boy, they sucked it up like a Hoover Deluxe. We spent $280 billion subsidizing big tech. And you add it all up, and that's almost $4.5 trillion. And that's how we got $36 trillion in debt. And that's why Donald Trump said, I'm going to look at every single line item of spending. And that's why he gave the job to Elon Musk. And that's why Musk is auditing these accounts. But nobody wants to talk about what he's finding. Nobody wants to talk about the spending porn. Except the American people. They get it, Mr. President. They get it. And I hope Mr. Musk continues. My colleague and friend, we had a little discussion in banking today. Senator Warner makes a good point. He wants Mr. Musk to come over and talk to Congress about how he's doing this. I'm all for that. I am all for that. I would love to have him come over and walk us through what he's doing and how he's discovering all this spending porn. We need all the help we can get on reducing our spending because we can't continue at this pace. I just wanted to spend a few minutes putting all this in perspective, Mr. President. The world's not going to spin off its axis, folks. Every business that I know of goes through an audit. Now we're being audited but we're being audited by, not by the usual auditors, but we're being audited by a person appointed by the President of the United States. And I'm betting you when he's through, and he's going to go to all these agencies. He's starting on the Department of Education next. I think he'll end up finding that some of our money is being well spent. But he's also going to find that some of our money is being stolen and it's being wasted. And that's an insult to every taxpayer in this country. So I'm going to end like I began. We ought to be giving Mr. Musk a medal. We ought to be thanking him. Maybe nobody else wants to hear about the spending porn, but I can't wait to read the book. I hope he finds all of it and compiles it. I hope Marco Rubio, our new Secretary of State, takes USAID and shakes them by the shoulder and lifts up the good people there and fires the bad people, the people that wasted taxpayer money like this, giving money to terrorist organizations, giving money to organizations that support Hamas. Hope he gets rid of every single one of them. And I think if we listen to Mr. Musk, we can save a lot of money.
The amazing thing about this is that this is just the beginning. Elon Musk and his team decimated USAID. A lot of fallout from that. Who's next? Department of Education, FBI, CIA, USDA, better yet, CDC. Oh my goodness. It's going to get real crazy, folks. You heard it. This is just plain and simple. You could hear it in his voice. Senator Kennedy, he can't believe it. Money has been going out quicker than coming in, and the American people have been paying for it. And for the past 4 years with the prior administration, we're all feeling it too. It's just, they really are trying to destroy us. So, anyway, I hope you like this episode. I know it's been a long time, and we're going to do our best. We're gonna make podcasts left and right. We're not stopping. We're using that positive attitude, and we're going to move forward. Anyway, I want to say, I can't leave without having Tom McDonald in his crazy new song, Daddy's Home. Tom McDonald and Roseanne Barr. Can you believe it? Of all people? Yeah, I had to put this in the podcast because this will really make all the lefties go nuts again. They don't listen to this podcast anyway. So I hope you enjoy it. Tom McDonald, it's got over close to 6 million views, and it's been out for 2 weeks. But it's very fitting. Daddy's Home, President Donald Trump. Yeah. Have a listen.
We won, you mad, it's done, too bad, boo-hoo, so sad. We won, you mad, you cry, we laugh, we wave the flag. Thank God that we're back, couldn't take another 4 years. That's a wrap, I can take a bath in your tears. That's a fact, you got lipstick all on your beard. You're a man, that is cap, 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 cap. You pretending you're accepting, that's an act. You hear pat, 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 pat. If you want our freedom, come and take it back. Bet you can. We won, you mad, it's done, too bad, boo-hoo, so sad. We won, you mad, you cry, we laugh, we wave the flag.
They try to cancel me and say that I'm a racist. Got a mean hook, they can't get me with that jab. Trying to take away my right to go and say this. Well, listen up, cause this gun is going bad. With the facts. Why they trying to turn Becky into Dan? You get pat, 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 pat. Screw Eminem, I'm Roseanne.
We won, you mad, it's done, too bad, boo-hoo, so sad. We won, you mad, you cry, we laugh, we wave the flag. If you mad about it, go and cry about it. Shave your head and wear a shirt that says you're woke. If you can't handle a lot of facts and make up lies about it, say goodbye to Joe, your daddy's coming home. We won, you mad, it's done, too bad, boo-hoo, so sad, now your daddy's home. We won, you mad, you cry, we laugh, we wave the flag, now your daddy's home. We won, you mad, it's done, too bad, boo-hoo, so sad, now your daddy's home. We won, you mad, you cry, we laugh, we wave the flag, now your daddy's home.
So what'd you think? That's awesome. You know they're going nuts listening to that song. They can't stand us people that stick up for freedom and democracy and love God and male and female. They can't stand this. They're going crazy. Crazy, crazy. Anyway, I thank you for listening. We are going to be much more on top of things. I got a lot of things lined up for you. Not only do we have Larry on the show, he's going to be with us, and we're trying to keep it tame because he's got some far-out stories to tell you. And heard of cryptocurrency? I'm going to have my expert, the guy that's getting me involved in a little cryptocurrency, or at least learning me on some of the finer points of this. And we're going to have Donnie. He's going to be on, and he's going to give us little tips and how to get started. Because we have to. It's a new beginning. We have a new president. He's actually doing the things he said he was going to do on his campaign trail. We have mass deportations. We have the left melting and going crazy. We have media getting destroyed. People are losing their jobs left and right in the media world. And can't forget about the sports people. They're turning around. They're entertaining us. That's what they're supposed to do. I still don't know about Hollywood. That's going to be the next can of worms that come out. And sit back, folks. We just started. We are going to go ape on all of this. This is going to be crazy. It's going to be the year 2025. One way or another, whether the aliens come down and show themselves or Trump turns us into MAGA heaven and Kennedy Jr., Maha. Oh, we have so much going on. Pam Bondi, awesome. Pete Hegseth, just to name a few. Marco Rubio. Wow, things are happening, folks. You got to feel it in the air, and you got to love it. So with that, I want to say thank you again for listening. We love you. We missed being on the air doing podcasts, but we're back. We got a lot of technical issues taken care of, and we're going to have a lot more content for you. So with that, thank you again for going down the rabbit hole with me. And we will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.